What is good, Josh on the Spoon Game Man? Back man with yet another reaction video, baby. And today we are back still with the recording session. I had to change shirts, man. It got a little too hot a bit, you know what I'm saying? But we are back with another NC Hammer 23. That's the numbers of the but NC Hammer video, man. You guys wanted to see more of the Ranked and Explained or reactions to the Ranked and Explained or just explained in general. So I'm gonna keep bringing them up. I'm glad y'all are showing some love to the anime content here on the channel because I love anime so much. The background doesn't depict it too much. I need to get some more stuff, but Naruto and Itachi with me. That's all that matters. But let me know down below, man, what you guys are thinking, what you guys want to see more of, what anime content you guys want to see next. I do have another video from him scheduled up here that I'm about to direct you here in a little bit, so be tuned on that. So turn that bell on so you guys know when those are going out. Subscribe if you're brand new and hit the video with a like to show that love and support to the video. And of course, this one is all run on site ninja explained. So I'm guessing this is everybody's had a run on site order. I don't know if he's going to be ranking them by most dangerous or not, or if we're just gonna be explaining all of them. But it's a pretty quick video here today. Normally they're around like 30-minute videos. This one's only about 19 minutes. So I mean, there wasn't too many ninja with run on site orders, at least as far as I know of. I can only remember 3, maybe 4. So let's just see if there were any more that I'm like not remembering at all.
Flee on site or run on site. A term that we use to describe tons of ninjas in the Naruto universe. I mean, think in your mind right now of all of the ninjas in the Naruto universe who have a flee on-site order. Who are you thinking of? Are you thinking of the third Raikage, Fugaku, Minato, Shisui, even Itachi? When we say
Fugaku had a run on site order? This must be, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember like the mangas and light novels and stuff like that. I'm anime only. I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those fans that's anime only. Maybe I need to get into the mangas, but I didn't know Fugaku had a run on site order. That one's one of the ones I didn't know about.
This simple phrase out loud, we think of some of the most intimidating and powerful ninjas ever known in the Naruto universe. We think about ninjas with so much power that other enemy ninjas see them on the battlefield and decide that it's better, regardless of how many there are, to turn around and flee. Ninjas who have such legendary power that other nations buckle at the sight of them. Ninjas with kill counts in the thousands that could have been even higher if people didn't start running from them instead of fighting them. But who are these ninjas with run-on-site orders exactly? How powerful were they? And how did they earn these run-on-site orders in the first place? And maybe more importantly than anything, who amongst them was the strongest? Well,
so we're going ranking
all those questions and more today because, ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking run-on-site order ninjas ranked and explained.
Yeah.
So before we get to ranking or explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell.
Man, I love when it's actually ranked. Gives me a better way to see who's stronger. Gives me something to argue with, you know what I'm saying?
I'm excited. We got a lot of ninjas to talk about today. Hold up, I'm getting a phone call. What's that? What do you mean? What do you mean there's only one ninja with a run-on-site order in all of manga canon? No, what do you... I just introduced we were doing a list. You can't make a list out of one. What do you mean it's only Minato? Sorry about that, guys. Apparently.
That's what I was about to say. I thought only by technical actual run on site orders, Minato was the only one. I thought Kakashi might have earned one, but I guess when you really think about it, the only one that's actually said to have been a run on site order was Minato. But I feel like a lot of other people had run on site orders. They just didn't get said.
There's only one ninja in history with a run-on-site order. I genuinely wish I was kidding. See, we as a fandom apply the term flee on-site or run-on-site to a ton of ninjas. Be it the third Raikage, be it Shisui, Itachi, Madara, Hanzo the Salamander, Hashirama, and Tobirama. Really, if somebody has ever seen somebody and decided to flee from them instead of fighting them in combat, we identify that person as a run-on-site order ninja. But unfortunately, that's just not accurate. And the grand total of Naruto's manga, not including light novels or anime, we'll talk about that in a second, there's only ever been one ninja who has been officially labeled with a run-on-site order from every other nation. And that one ninja is Minato. Yes, you heard me right. Literally every other ninja you've ever heard somebody say is a run-on-site ninja is either fanon or taken from the light novels or anime. And even these scenarios that label other ninjas as run-on-site threats in the anime or the light novels is a loose interpretation of that term. Minato truly stands alone. And for good reason. Prime Minato is one of the most intimidating things the ninja world had ever seen. He was a smiling, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, essentially child who just so happened to hit his stride in terms of strength during one of the most important political climates in the history of the Naruto world. But what do I mean by that? Why was Minato the only ever flea on-site ninja? Well, outside of the fact that Minato graduated with the highest ever scores from the Shinobi Academy, he was also, prior to Gaara and Itachi, the fastest ever person to complete the Forest of Death. But those are genuinely some of Minato's least impressive accomplishments. Minato, even before his now very well documented entry into the Second Great Shinobi World War, personally stopped 3 Hidden Cloud Jonin from stealing Kushina from the Hidden Leaf. See, the Hidden Cloud, kind of forever the bad guys in the Naruto universe, identified that Kushina had a special kind of chakra. And therefore, kind of like they did when they tried to kidnap Hinata, they sent Jonin into the Hidden Leaf at night to kidnap Kushina. And a 9-year-old Minato, following the trail of hair that Kushina had left behind, popped in and one-shot 3 Jonin back to back. I mean, he was literally just knocking them out with one kick. And for those of you being like, oh, Nick, how do you know they were Jonin? They could have been Chunin. Why on earth would the second strongest village in the Naruto universe send 3 Chunin into the heart of an enemy village to kidnap somebody they identified as a potential incredibly important asset? That is not a Chunin level mission. And thus it was established long before Minato was full grown that he was a legitimate threat to anybody he faced in combat. And this clear difference between Minato and everybody else only became more pronounced in the Second Great Shinobi World War, which we now know because of his one-shot he was heavily involved in, even though during the Second Great Shinobi World War, Minato couldn't have been older than 14 years old. And yet, during the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, outside of training in Fuinjutsu with Kushina and trying to create the Rasengan, Minato was going up against 2 perfect Jinchuriki simultaneously, and was the only reason that Jiraiya and the rest of his team were able to make it out of the Second Great Shinobi World War alive. In fact, it was revealed in Minato's one-shot that the reason that he was making the Rasengan in the first place wasn't for him, but instead for Kushina, so that if she was ever forced into combat against the other Jinchuriki, she would have something that could counter the power of a tailed beast ball. And ironically, that is kind of what the Rasengan was used for in Minato's one-shot, though not by Kushina. See, because Kushina is finally able to add Minato's chakra to her 8-trigram seal, Minato, with the aid of Kushina, albeit, 1v1s Kurama and forces him into submission. Now, mind you, that was during the Second Shinobi Great War. That's not even the Great War that Minato is known for, because a couple of years after fighting in the Second Great Shinobi World War as a child, the Third Great Shinobi World War started, and that's where Minato started to really make a name for himself, finally receiving the moniker of the Yellow Flash and the run-on-sight order from the rest of the world. See, because it was during this war that Minato came toe-to-toe with the likes of A, the Fourth Raikage, and Killer Bee simultaneously, and fought them to a stalemate. He was able to eliminate 50 Hidden Stone Shinobi by himself when they cornered 3 Hidden Leaf Shinobi, and so much more. Those are just the feats that we know from Minato in the Third Great Shinobi World War. Minato drenched his hands in so much blood of the enemies during the Third Great Shinobi World War that they decided that after the Third Great Shinobi World War, they should elect this basically child to be the 4th Hokage. And in a village that at this time still had people like Fugaku and Orochimaru who were very much vying for the position of the 4th Hokage, this means that Minato had to outshine the both of them. And so yes, because of the fact that Minato participated in 2 of the most important and bloodiest conflicts in the entirety of the Naruto history, and in both of those conflicts not only came out stronger, but also came out a lot more deadly. By the time that the ending of the Third Great Shinobi World War was coming around, Minato had been given a fleet.
I love seeing that. My boy he's just looking at it like, dang, this is it. This is it.
On-site order. An order from every nation that if you saw the Yellow Flash, regardless of how good you thought your numbers or chances were, you ran. And at least in that wording, Minato was the only ninja to ever receive that honor. But it doesn't mean that other ninja weren't close or didn't receive that honor in a slightly less sure wording. You see, because outside of Minato, the Naruto fandom talks about a lot of ninjas who have received the Flea on-site order. And the number one ninja they talk about having the Flea on-site order outside of Minato is the ever overhyped Shisui. Now, I will say,
is this more Uchiha hate? Are you sure? Are you sure you just ain't Toby Rama in disguise, bro? You ain't have to throw in overhyped there. Why you introduce this man, bro? That's crazy. I think it's just Toby Rama in disguise.
All the ninjas that people say has a run-on-site order, but doesn't actually have a run-on-site order, Shisui has the closest. Though, unfortunately, it doesn't come from the manga. See, the reason that people say that Shisui has a run-on-site order is because of a filler episode. Specifically, a filler episode where a team of hidden shinobi, led by Ao, are infiltrating the Land of Fire. And while they're running through the woods of the Land of Fire, a couple of them drop to the ground, scratching at their brains, screaming in agony, and Ao realizes that it's Genjutsu. Ao then activates his Byakugan and stares far off into the distance and sees Shisui standing there, menacingly. And it's at this point that Ao looks at his platoon of hidden shinobi and says, "It's Shisui Uchiha. We don't stand a chance. We're retreating." Now, from this tiny bit of information, people have deduced that Shisui Uchiha has a flee on-site order.
Yeah, I would say, okay, I see where he's going with that. That's not necessarily a flee on-site order, because they weren't ordered to leave. That's just the leader of that team saying, oh yeah, we keep going, y'all gonna die. I'm gonna save y'all life real quick. Let's go back home.
Though that's just not what's said. Ao does absolutely command him and the rest of his ninja to flee when they see Shisui, but that could just be Ao making an apt decision. That doesn't mean that the government has told all hidden shinobi to run away from Shisui Uchiha like they did with Minato. But still, this is a very clear circumstance where a larger force runs away from one individual who they also know by sight. Now, it does happen in a filler episode and therefore isn't technically manga canon, but so far as having a claim to being a run-on-site ninja, Shisui has the second best behind Minato. And this makes sense. You should run from Shisui if you see him. Shisui is the youngest ever person to awaken the MS, awakening it at just 7 years old as a Genin while out on a mission with his best friend. Shisui's best friend was also on his Genin squad, and Shisui identified him as more talented than even him. And therefore, when his squad get held down in a disadvantageous situation, Shisui left his friend behind because he thought to himself that if his friend was dead, he would be the strongest ninja of their class. And therefore, he felt guilty and partially responsible for his death, which was enough to allow him to activate his MS. When you combine the fact that he was the youngest ever person to activate his MS with the fact that he was also known for his body flicker technique, which many ironically compare to Flying Raijin, though it is a different technique entirely, it would make sense why Shisui would also be thought of as a flee on-site ninja. The combination of his Kodo Matsukame, which could place people under a Genjutsu so complete even they didn't know they were under Genjutsu, paired with his speed and Anbu level elemental chakra control, made Shisui undoubtedly one of the most intimidating ninjas in the entirety of the Naruto world. And while I never necessarily got to see a lot of Shisui, and therefore we don't necessarily understand the highest point of his potential, does have a non-canon Susanoo, which was created and drawn by Kishimoto and has since been drawn by Kishimoto a couple of times, the most recent time being the Naruto Top 99 Top 20 winners, where Shisui can be seen with the weapon of his Susanoo in his hand. So between the fact that Kodo Matsukame has the ability to place you in a Genjutsu that you never may be broken out of, Shisui was one of the very few people, at least in his time period, who was able to use the body flicker technique and an incomplete Susanoo that not only was able to wield a giant sword, but also fire chakra senbon. Yeah, it would make sense that Shisui would get something like a run-on-site order, especially when you consider the fact that it's Genjutsu in the time it was used against Ao and the time it was used against Mokai Kohinata was proven to be so incredibly strong that it could either debilitate people without Genjutsu resistance or punch through the barrier of people who do have a Genjutsu resistance, all without using his Kodo Matsukame and therefore all without closing his Kodo Matsukame eye. And therefore, yeah, if I saw Shisui on the battlefield, I'd run away. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean he has a flee on-site order. Or does it? Because technically, all Sharingan users kind of have an unofficial flee on-site order. See, because Granny Chiyo was talking to Naruto and Sakura about fighting against Itachi, she told the two of them that if you ever find yourself in a one-on-one battle against an Uchiha, you should run. However, if you ever find yourself in a two-on-one battle against an Uchiha, one of you should be placed under Genjutsu while the other sneaks up behind them and bonks him on the head. This is all real, mind you. Happens in the manga. This is real advice Granny Chiyo gives Naruto and Sakura.
I do remember that saying. It does get said. So I mean that's a technical run-on-site order. It's a if you see them one-on-one. Basically saying we gotta jump these. If you one-on-one, run. But if you got 2 or 3, jump them.
And thus you can make the argument that every Sharingan user does technically have some kind of run-on-site order. Because mind
that's
you,
the coldest family picture ever, by the way.
She's from the Hidden Sand. She was involved in the 2nd and 3rd Great Shinobi World Wars. And I think she actually got brought back using Edo Tensei, so she was involved in the 4th Great Shinobi World Wars. She, over the course of her very storied military career, has fought against multiple Uchihas. She was the cornerstone of the Hidden Sand's military force for like 5 decades. And therefore, Granny Chiyo, the head military asset of the Hidden Sand, one of the 5 major ninja villages tells you that if you're in one-on-one combat against an Uchiha, you run away. It's pretty fair to assume that that sentiment probably applies to all of the warriors of the Hidden Sand Village. Because if Granichio, who mind you probably shouldn't be that afraid of ocular genjutsu considering the fact that she's a puppet master and can be away from a battlefield and controlling her puppets, is afraid of being caught in an ocular jutsu and therefore runs from a one-on-one situation against an Uchiha, then it's safe to assume every other shinobi in the Hidden Sand probably does the same. And therefore, one could absolutely make the argument that all Uchiha members have a run-on-site order. And if it's true in the Hidden Sand, there's a possibility it's true everywhere, which could be why Ao decided to turn around his platoon of hidden shinobi to run away from Shisui. So you can absolutely use this tidbit of information to say that Shisui did actually have a fleet on-site order. And if you want to apply this ideology out further, you can. At least to a couple of Uchihas. See, because I'm not going to sit here and say that
Itachi,
every
Madara,
Uchiha in Naruto had a run-on-site order. Some of them kind of did, and the information given to us by Granichio kind of bolsters that point. No, I'm not talking about Itachi. Yes, a lot of people understood how powerful Itachi was, but Itachi never
Kakashi made it sound like he had a run-on-site order.
Not even Madara had a run-on-site order.
Now that's crazy.
Up to the Hidden Stone to fight against Inoki and Mu, and while they didn't win in this fight, they also didn't run. Yes, Madara is incredibly powerful, but no, at no point did he ever have a fleet on-site order. None of the Senju ever ran from Madara. Hashirama dedicated like a decade of his life to fighting him, and after that decade of Madara and Hashirama fighting, and maybe kissing occasionally, Hashirama killed Madara and he spent the rest of his life under—
What is wrong with you? They ain't do that on camera.
Ground. And then in the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, literally an army of 80,000 people rushed Madara. Were they stoked about it? No. Did they do a good job? Not really. But they weren't.
But they knew they was about to die. They couldn't just turn around and run. That's 80,000 people that would have to turn around and run. The whole war would have been lost at that point. And we talk about a war that kind of, you basically are going to die if you lose anyway. It was either run at him and die, run away and die, and get shamed, or do nothing and die. So all three options had die in them. So you might as well just go out fighting. They just showed a little courage. They probably still wouldn't run though.
Running from him. And the same can be said about Itachi. No one ever runs from Itachi. And that's mostly because Itachi was never involved in any of the great shinobi wars. Yeah, he was brought out onto a battlefield by his father, Fugaku, towards the end of the Third War. Really, when it came down to it, Itachi was only really known as a threat inside of Konoha. So if he was going to get a run-on-site order from anywhere, it would probably be Konoha. And yet Asuma, Might Guy, Kurenai, and Kakashi all squared up with him when he walked into the village. And
No, Kakashi squared up with them. Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy would have got feasted on. Kakashi saved their lives.
Kakashi served in
Guy saved their lives because when he pulled up, he was like, all right, look, we ain't fighting Guy and Kakashi. We got to go. But Kurenai and Asuma would have got dealt with.
Anbu with Itachi. He knows exactly how powerful he is. However, there is one Sharingan user who does have somewhat of a claim towards the idea of them being a fleet on-site ninja. And that Uchiha is none other than Itachi's father,
I thought you were gonna say something.
the wicked-eyed Fugaku. Now, I know there's
Where
some
did
of
this
you at
come
home
from,
right
though?
now saying,
I didn't know about this.
We know less about Fugaku than we do about Madara or Itachi.
And you're right, we do. However, we do know that Fugaku was a legitimate contender for the 4th Hokage spot, and a very, and I mean very active participant in the Third Great Shinobi World War. But none of that necessarily tells us that he had a fleet on-site order. Right? Well, right, and also kind of wrong.
I want to hear this one.
In Shinden light novels, it was implied that Fugaku had the same level of power and title as Minato in Konoha. That is to say that Fugaku stood at a similar level of power and respect in the Hidden Leaf. A lot of people heard this and said,
oh, okay, that means Fugaku also has a run-on-site order.
And while, I mean, it technically could, because Fugaku's status is said to be equal to that of Minato's, and Minato's status is run-on-site, the status bit could also be talking about the fact that Fugaku garnered an equal amount of respect in Konoha as Minato. But for the sake of argument, let's say that yes, Fugaku also had a run-on-site order. It wouldn't not make sense. I mean, we literally just established the fact that Granichio said in a one-on-one fight, you should always run from a Sharingan user, and it was revealed, at least in the anime, that Fugaku had an MS. And by the way, Fugaku having an MS is canonized by the light novels. But Fugaku had a dual MS, like we saw him have in the anime.
Can I just say, too, what is the point of making, like, non-canon material? I guess you gotta, put stuff in the fillers to keep everything in good pacing, but why not just make it canonized too? Like, why does there have to be? And this could just be mine not knowing. You know what I'm saying? So respectfully, let me know down below in the comment section if you guys know. But why is there a difference between canon and non-canon? Why can't everything just be canon?
that means he not only had MS abilities, but also, like Shisui, a Susanoo. And while we don't know what the Susanoo looks like or what these MS abilities were because Fugaku refused to fight his son, Fugaku did earn the moniker the Wicked Eye Fugaku. And when you start giving nicknames to people based on how good they kill, yeah, you're probably reaching run-on-sight order territory. Because really, when it comes down to it, the only people that have ever been given nicknames are Hiruzen, the Professor, or the God of Shinobi, Hashirama, the God of Shinobi, Naruto, the Demon Fox, Sasuke, the last Uchiha, Madara, the Ghost of the Uchiha, Shisui, the Body Flicker, Minato, the Yellow Flash, Sakamo Hatsuki, the White Fang, Kakashi, the Copy Ninja. This is an upper echelon of
that's
power
a good list
in
of
the
names.
Naruto universe. But then again, Sasori is also known as Sorcery of the Red Sand. There's a fun video.
I mean, but he's deadly though. Like, I mean, he got defeated, but he's still deadly. Like, I mean, you probably still wouldn't want to fight Sorcery one. Like, if Sakura had pulled up 1-on-1, she's probably losing. If Grand Shio had pulled up 1-on-1, she's probably losing. It was a 2-on-1. He's still deadly in my eyes.
The weakest person in Naruto with a nickname. Asuma has the nickname Razor Edge. Dan has a nickname Spectre. No, Yakushi has the nickname The Wandering Miko. Where are people getting these? Wait, no, it's real. She actually is known as The Wandering Miko.
Nah, these gotta be fan names. Ain't no way. Now we're going to canonize this, but we're going to not canonize some other important feats. Come on now.
That might be the answer to our question. Anyways, speaking of nicknames, another name that people bring up whenever they talk about a flea on sight ninja is Sakamo Hatsuki, the White Fang. Now, this is mostly because at some points in the anime, Kakashi as a child is mistaken for Sakamo Hatsuki because of his white hair and his chakra saber. And in those moments where Kakashi is mistaken as Sakamo Hatsuki, the enemies become incredibly fearful of Kakashi. And they consider running away because of Sakamo's incredibly intimidating past. On top of the Sakamo Hatsuki was known as a force of nature while he was still alive, being said to be stronger than all three of the legendary Sannin in their teenage years combined. On top of this, he led one of the deadliest offensives in Konoha's history when he charged straight into the heart of the Hidden Sand Village during the Second Great Shinobi World War, a time in which he became known as a legendary ninja. A ninja who at this time went toe-to-toe with the likes of Great Ichigo and Hanzo the Salamander and came out alive. And while it's never explicitly stated that Sakamo Hatsuki had a run-on-sight order, considering the fact that fear of Sakamo Hatsuki radiated so deeply into enemy ninjas that seeing a child who merely looked like Sakamo Hatsuki was almost enough to cause them to turn around and retreat, means that if there was anybody who was pretty close to having a run-on-sight order, it was him. But like with all the other ninjas not named Minato, there has never been any confirmation as to whether or not Sakamo Hatsuki did in fact have a run-on-sight order. Now, this could certainly have less to do with Sakamo Hatsuki and more to do with the fact that we know next to nothing about the Second Great Shinobi World War and all of the ninjas that were at the highest level of power during that time period, and therefore you can blame the lack of confirmation on that fact. But really, when it comes down to it, if you're going to say that somebody in Naruto history who wasn't an Uchiha and therefore didn't have a Sharingan also caught the run-on-sight order, it would most likely be Sakamo Hatsuki. But that's not the real point of today's video. The point of today's video was to, 1, point out the fact that there is only one confirmed run-on-sight ninja, and 2, talk about how wildly impressive that is for Minato. Because in a world racked with war and incredibly powerful ninjas, there was only one ninja on Earth other nations told their soldiers to not approach. That was Minato. It wasn't the third Raikage, it wasn't Shisui, Itachi, Madara, Hashirama, Tobirama, or anybody else but the Yellow Flash himself. Minato. And no, Minato did not earn that title by killing 1,000 shinobi by himself. The Hidden Stone sent 1,000 shinobi into Konoha. The Konoha shinobi defeated all but 50 of them. There was only 4 Konoha shinobi remaining. Minato shows up, kills the last 50 stone shinobi. That's what Inoki meant by Minato single-handedly stomped out their invasion. It's all been shown to us, guys. Come on! But anyways, if I had to rank all of the ninjas that we talked about in today's video, I would go Minato, Fugaku. I'm aware he has no feats, but he's been actively compared to Minato, Sakamo Hatsuki, and then Shisui. And I'm now just realizing that only one person on this list actually has any feasible feats, and that's Minato. The rest, just vibes and stories. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. Out of all of the ninjas in the Naruto universe, out of the 4 that we've talked about today, who do you believe deserves a run-on-sight order? Tell me in the comments below. And before I go down there, please, for me.
If I had to give it to one of the 3 other people on that he mentioned today on this list, we'll include all Uchihas. If I had to give it to any of those people he mentioned, so we'll just look at Madara, Shisui, Itachi, just every name that's mentioned, Sakamo, Fugaku. Who would I most like? Just off of the information that we do know, I would have to give it to Sakamo. Like I said, we haven't seen Fugaku use his eyes. Otherwise, I probably would give it to him. Just being compared to another person,
doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, it doesn't mean a whole lot. So I definitely have to give it to Sakamo. Like, people really tried to kill Kakashi just because he looked like his dad. Remember, like, Ranchu also said, don't fight a one-on-one. As soon as she saw Kakashi, started fearing for her life, throwing everything she could at this man, like at 80, 90 years old. Like, and this wasn't even him. She should have known that he had already passed. Like, how did you not know that he died already? You thought he died and came back to life. And that scared her. A little kid was causing grown adults, even though obviously Sakamo probably would look a little bit more grown. Nah, that's him right there using a jutsu. Like, being more powerful than the 3 legendary Sannin combined, regardless if it's prime or teenage years, you can decide which one is which, but being more powerful than 3 legendary level shinobi, getting the nickname of legendary shinobi combined, being able to go toe to toe in a 1v1v1 with the 2 other most powerful people from other nations and come out on a square footing, you know, unkilled. Yeah, those are impressive feats. If I have to give it to anybody that was mentioned in today's video, not named Minato, I would give it to Fugaku. Or not Fugaku. I would give it to Sakamo. Let me know who you guys are giving it to down below in the comment section. And let me know, should there be more run-on-site orders confirmed? And why is it not? We'll catch you guys in the next video, man. We will be back with more anime content here soon as we watch on this movie. Black Avatar King Leo. I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. I'm home for the day. Peace.